Hi everybody, I'm Robin from Messy Play Kits, and I'm here today to do a couple of really fun activities. But before we get started, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, my background, and what I do, and why I'm here. So like I said, my name is Robin. My company is called Messy Play Kits, and I make these really fun sensory and science activities for kids. So the sensory bins right here, my white boxes that I have with ribbon on them, are like super open-ended. Here's a sample of the dinosaur themed one. You open the box, put it into a bin like this, and the kids just get to dig through and scoop and dump and play. Super fun. So the Dinosaur Excavation one right here has a base of cornmeal, and there's some dinosaurs in there and some dinosaur fossils or skeletons. And yeah, always some good fine motor tools and other things like that. They just get to dig and scoop and dump and play. They're really fun. I have some with water beads. I don't know if you guys have ever played with that, with water beads, but they're super duper fun. So the other things that I have, my splatter paint boxes, these are more like little science kits. So each box contains multiple activities designed around different themes. So like art projects and science and sensory and things like that. So a sample of the one that's shipping out soon is the Under the Sea Messy Play Kit. So the instructions are in there. This one actually has some pretend seaweed and some little sea creatures too. But there's 4 projects in there, a good mix of art and science. Like we said, some good sensory stuff. You get to make your own moon sand, and there's some little water beads in here that you get to play with. They're just super duper fun. So if you're looking for some fun activities to do at home, where all the materials come with you, all the instructions, everything like that, the Messy Play Kits for sure would be good for that. So let me set those aside a little bit. And yeah, so my background, I used to teach preschool, so I have a background in child development. I've worked with kids forever, and I started a couple years ago doing some actual like really fun summer camp activities. So I'm going to take you through a few of those today that the kids at the summer camp I work with absolutely love. We have a ton of fun doing it with kids ranges from 4 all the way up through 14. So the first activity that I wanted to do with you today is one called bubble tubes or bubble snakes. And it's super easy and really fun. So what you're gonna need is some dish soap. Dawn is a really good brand, but use whatever you have in your kitchen. You'll need a little bit of water, some sort of a tray, like an art tray or a plate or something like that. And then I took an old recycled bottle. This is just a Gatorade bottle, but you can use kind of whatever you have. And you have an adult help you with this part, but you actually cut off the bottom. So if you notice, the top is still there together, but the bottom is cut off. So very carefully using scissors, you actually cut that part off. You'll need a rubber band and some sort of fabric. So a little toddler, a small kid's sock would work really nicely, or like a washcloth or something like that. And then once you've gathered your materials, we'll get started. So I'm gonna open the sock, and I'm going to put it on the bottom of that bottle, stretch it out wide, and pull it nice and tight. I usually kind of fold the sock over on itself, pull it tight there, and then we take our rubber band just to help us secure that on there. All right, so it's really nice and tight right now. Now what we do is we squeeze a little bit of soap onto the tray. Here we go, just a little bit on there, and we're going to do a little bit of water. Most of the time when you're baking a bubble solution, you want it to be like kind of thin. This we want to keep pretty thick, so there's just a little bit of water with a decent proportion of soap in there, and then we're taking our bubble tube, we're taking our like bubble maker, and we're just kind of rubbing it around, making sure we're getting both soap and water on there. Are you ready? Now, take your hand, wrap your hand around the mouthpiece, and just blow. Oh, it looks so cool. Ready? Oh, there we go. Not quite sure what that was. Here we go. Look at that. They're such an interesting texture, which I find so fun. They are like very small bubbles. You see that right up there? Oh, they're so much fun. All right, I'm gonna wipe my hands off. Oops. And we'll try that again. Here we go. We'll get a little bit more soap on there and go ahead and blow again. Oh my gosh, look at how long that is. You can see there's a couple of really big ones over on that side too. So when I first started, the bubbles were a lot smaller, and then the more I blew, the bubbles started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. How weird. All right, so with this activity, there are some other things that you can try along with it. So what I think would be really interesting, and I've never tried this, but I have some friends who have, is see if you can find other shapes and other containers that would work as well. So if you took a regular cup, could you get it, like if one end is small enough, could you use that? Or like a funnel, if you covered the big end, you have the same sort of device with that. And I also had a friend say that she actually used an aluminum tin can, and they were able to cut like the bottom of one side off, and then the other side they kept narrow enough that the kids could actually blow through it and then get those bubbles also. So see if you have some other containers at home that would work, maybe like a Tupperware container or something. Of course, make sure you're allowed to cut it open on the bottom first, but I think it'd be really fun to see like what happens if you have a much wider end or a more narrow one, that kind of thing, see what happens. The other thing that you could try, and I haven't had a lot of success with this myself, but I'd be very curious to see if somebody else can actually get it to work, would be to get the bubbles to be colorful. So I have right here some liquid watercolors, and I use the Colorations brand. There's tons of different ones out there that you can get. You can even use regular liquid, like regular watercolor paint. You can get these on Amazon and tons of other places, but they're just liquid watercolors, and I've watered them down a little bit here. But what if I put some of that on the bottom? Do you think this is gonna work? Let's find out. All right, back into the soap. In the very beginning, they were kind of colorful. I guess, yeah, they do have like a pink tinge to them a little bit. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but especially right up here by my hand, they definitely do. All right, what if we add another color? So first we did a little bit of red. Let's try, got some blue here also. Let's try that. Whee! Just dripping it right onto the sock, and let's see if we don't even dip it back in. Whoa! There's like a little bit of a rainbow hint to the bubbles now, I feel like. Right up here in the middle is a little bit blue and some red around the outside. Anyway, see if you can make that work. And I wonder if using regular paint, maybe dabbing it right on here would work better. I'm not really sure, but I know I've seen other people can make it work. I've just never been able to, but I would love to see if you can. Let me go ahead and wipe off my hand. All right. Now, we're done with this project, so we're going to clean up a little bit first. I'm going to set my colors back off to the side. We'll use those in a minute. Water. Here we go, bubbles. Move that out of the way carefully. All right. And we don't need our soap anymore. So we'll set all those things off to the side. All right, for the next project, we're going to do something totally different. And for this, you're going to need another sort of tray, a straw, and some paper. I'm going to use white paper for this project. And actually, honestly, I think it's kind of better if you use the back side of the tray so it sticks up a little bit. Here we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something that's like kind of silly, kind of fun, especially as we get closer to Halloween, which right now seems really, really far away, but will absolutely be here before we know it. And we're going to make some kind of spooky tree artwork today. And the trickiness of this is we're actually going to use a straw. We're not going to paint it. We're going to use a straw to blow the paint when it's actually on the paper. So I've got a few different samples here. This is what it looks like when you're just doing the artwork by itself. This one I did this morning, and I blew the tree first, and then I went back with a cotton ball and just kind of dabbed the leaves on there. And then this one, yesterday I painted the backdrop for this. I did like a traditional watercolor. You get the paper really wet, and then I just used my, honestly, I used my fingers and some watercolor paint and just made the background and let that dry before making the actual tree today. So lots of different ways that you can do it. and you could use, you know, different colors for the tree trunk and the branches and whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and just keep up with the same thing. I'm going to do black liquid watercolors. You could also use food coloring if that's what you have. And I would probably water it down a little bit for that. And then I'm going to use a pipette, so just like a little dropper sort of thing. If you don't have that, you could maybe use a straw or something, but it's a lot easier if you've got some sort of dropper like this. All right, so I'm going to open my color and just squeeze up. And again, this is just black. So I'm going to squeeze up just some so that I've got it right here and I've got my straw ready. And I'm actually going to start this direction. I'm going to start with the top of the trunk and work my way down, because when you blow, it kind of sometimes spreads out a little bit. And I like to have a wider base of the trunk instead of the top. So here we go. I've got my straw ready. I'm going to drip. And then blow. There we go. Now that I've got pretty good trunk there, I'm going to flip my paper around and I'm going to put another drip. There we go. It's pretty easy, but it's really interesting to see. Like, you don't really have a lot of control over it. So it's kind of fun to see where it goes. But if you notice there, I blew and it kind of went up this way. And then when it got all the way up here towards the top of the paper, I turned. And that way I was blowing it in a different direction. So let's try that again. I'm going to put some drops down here. Whoa! It's fun because it really, like, you just don't know what it's going to look like at the end. I really like that part. More drops right here. Oh, I couldn't get that one to blow. Here we go. Let's try again. A little bit. So it's really going off the top. It was definitely my biggest tree that I've done so far. Let's put a little bit down here further. All right, maybe a little here. Take some deep breaths there. All right. Here we go. Maybe we'll do a little bit more up here. A little here. I really like when you get those like little things coming off. Sometimes you can get it to work and sometimes you can't. All right. I think maybe I'm done with this one. So I'm going to set this one over here to dry. I'm going to grab another piece of paper and try that again. I'm going to try this time just starting from the bottom to get the trunk instead of starting from the middle and doing the trunk upside down. Let's see what happens. All right, I like the way that looks too. And it's nice when you've got a tray that moves around pretty easily because you can just spin it to make sure that you're getting to blow in whichever direction you want. All right, here we go. And make sure as you're doing this, you take some breaths. You like stop for a little bit, get caught up on breath. All right, here we go. And sometimes you make mistakes like that drip up there. I certainly didn't mean for that to happen. But I wonder if I can put more on that and get it to drip or get it to connect right back down. There we go. See, they look so different from each other. Look at how different those are. I think it's so fun. All right. Let's see what else is happening, what else we can make work. Maybe a little further down. All right, you guys. Here we go. All right, I think I'm done with that for now. Gonna get caught up on my breath. All right, and like I said, what I did earlier to get these little leaves all over it is I had my red and my yellow. I also used a little bit of orange, and you can just put little drops on there. That doesn't work all that well because the drops will kind of move. But if you take a little cotton ball or a Q-tip or something like that, you can just dab them on. Here we go. And I've got these colors watered down a little bit for our next project that we're going to do. And this one I used the actual just straight colors. So you can experiment a little bit and see what you like. But it's pretty easy to just kind of dab them on there. You get it pretty free form. All right, let's get a little bit of yellow. Boop, 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 boop. All right. It's really, really light. I know you guys probably can't see that all that well, but I promise it's on there. So you can get some really cool leaves that way. You could use your fingers for that. Or you can do what I did here, like I said, and I started with just like watercoloring the background to have kind of a cool like sunset sort of thing. Yeah, really whatever you want to. I'd be curious to see what happens if you start with different colors or what else you could make besides just spooky trees. So, all right, let's go ahead and set those things off to the side. Whee! I'll clear off my tray. And once again, I like to clean up my station in between. So some paper towels here. All right. Here we go. Whenever you're doing messy play or anything like that, it's important to clean up your workstation. You want to start with a clean workstation, you want to end with a clean workstation, because that's part of making a mess, is making sure that you clean up afterwards too. All right. I'm going to put my straws off to the side, get rid of those things, and bring out another tray here. And on this tray, we're going to need some other paper. And I've got glue. Huh, it's not labeled. Glue, just a small like little bottle of glue. If you have a small thing of Elmer's glue, that'll work perfectly. And then here I have some salt. So you want to have a decent amount of salt, and actually we'll need a second tray for this one. So I want the tray that I'm going to do the artwork on right here, and then I need a tray for my salt a little bit later. So salt over here, glue here, and then I've got my watercolors here. So I'm working with just the primary colors, and I've got droppers in them. I do also have paint brushes in case that's useful. So I brought some of those just in case, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use them. We'll see. So these are, again, my liquid watercolors that I really like. Colorations brand. There's lots of other companies out there. Liquid watercolors that, again, I've diluted them. I've watered them down a little bit just so that the color goes a little further. You could use watered down regular paint for this. You could give it a try. You can use regular watercolored paints that you would add water to and use a brush to kind of swirl around. And you could use food coloring, but again, you want a lot of water with it. So certainly add some water and water that down. So what we're doing now is something called raised salt painting. And I made a couple samples yesterday that were kind of silly, but also really, really fun. So this is one that I did that looks so much fun because I did it on white paper, and you can see the colors just bled through and they look so cool. But you can see right up here where I wrote the words messy play with an exclamation point, and I tried to do a little like star or something like that up there. So just kind of silly and fun. And then I have another one, which is what I'm going to do again today, something kind of similar to this. Excuse me, and this is a little bit wet still, even though I did this yesterday, so these do take a while to dry. But this is a raised salt firework. Since we're coming up on the 4th of July pretty soon, there's, maybe your town is still going to have fireworks, maybe they won't. But this is a good way to like celebrate the upcoming holiday. So raised salt fireworks. I'll put that right up here. All right. So whoops, I don't need 2 pieces of paper. I'm going to start with just one. And I'm going to first start by making my artwork. So I'm going to do, let's see, I really like the fireworks. My favorites are the ones like this, where they shoot up and then they just blow up and they just drip down forever, kind of like a willow tree. Those are my favorite fireworks. So I'm going to make one that kind of does that. It just drips down forever. So you can make whatever you want to. You can also draw out your artwork first. That helps sometimes. I'm just going to free form it. Whee! And you want kind of thick glue spots right here. So I'm not trying to go super thin. I want to make sure that I've got enough glue there that the salt will stick to it a little bit later. All right. Yeah, that kind of looks like it. And then let's see what other ones are like. Sometimes, this is going to be kind of weird, but whoops, I dripped a little bit of glue in between there, but I can just kind of reshape that a little bit here. All right. You know, sometimes they've started doing some that are pretty funny. They can actually do like smiley faces. And I think they usually have them inside of a circle. Whee! I'm going to go around again because I don't think that's quite as thick as what I actually want. All right. Whee! All right. So I'm going to set my glue off to the side. And now I'm going to transfer my paper over to my salt station. And I'm going to sprinkle salt on top. Just covering the whole entire artwork in salt. And I've got like a cup of salt here or so. It's just table salt, just from your kitchen. And when it's in a cup like this, it's a lot easier to scoop, to pour like this. And then I'm going to cover the whole thing. And then we just shake off the extra. Whoop. There we go. We're going to bring it back over to our working station. I'm going to just shake off a little bit. There we have a whole lot of salt on there. All right, and now for the fun part. Let's start with some red. Just going to drip. You see that? And you can see how the color starts to spread too. So I drip it just in that spot and it just immediately starts spreading out. Whee! All right. Make the red mouth. There we go. Whee! Here we go. Just a little bit. So not too much. You don't need to drip a whole bunch on there, but just a little bit. And then you can see, we'll start to see over time the colors kind of blending a little bit, especially if you drip them in the same spots. Whee! Here we go. Let's do blue eyes. All right. And you can see I didn't do a very good job of actually wiping the salt off of that section, or the glue off of that section, so the salt did really come back and cover it, but that's okay. Now we'll take some yellow in here. Whee! Drip that on. Just love watching how the color just spreads. It spreads over the whole thing so quickly and easily. Whee! And that's why you really want to have a whole bunch of water mixed into your color, because that's what helps the color really spread through the salt. So salt is pulling the color along. Look at that. That's kind of weird and fun. All right. I'm going to set that one off to the side. Here we go. Let's grab another one and try another piece. All right. This time I'm going to do a tree, I think. I'll start with a big trunk. And then I'm going to do kind of like an evergreen. Here we go. And go back and kind of fix those sections where the glue didn't really go. And then maybe another tree. More of a like maple, some sort of deciduous tree. Here we go. Whee! Well, this one's gonna look kind of weird, but I think it's gonna be really cool. All right. And like I said, it's easier when your salt is in your cup, but when it's in like this, you can also just kind of use your hands or a spoon. But we want to get the whole piece of artwork covered in the salt. That's what we're going for. Here we go. I can even pour like this. Trying not to spill the salt, because the more we retain between activities or between pieces, the more artwork we can do like this. All right. Here we go. Some parts of my tree blended together, but that's okay. And now, because trees are usually green, I'm going to see if I can take my blue and my yellow and try to get it as close to green on the trees by dripping them at the same time. Kind of working. I wasn't sure if that would work. I haven't tried this yet. So a little bit of yellow. I think the yellow and then the blue works better. Let's try blue and then yellow. Blue and then yellow. All right, let's get more of these colors. Let's try this up on this one too. Of course, if you have blue and yellow, or if you have actual green, you could just use that. But we're not trying to really be very precise with this. It's just kind of fun and about the process. And I really like watching the color just seep along the salt there. It's getting all the way down the trunk here. That's so cool. All right. Woo. What do you think? Should we put a little bit of red in just for fun? Put a little dab right there and here. All right. And when we're doing messy play, when we're doing process art like this, our whole goal is just about the process, the experience of what we're doing, and not so much about the end result. So if it doesn't look the way that you want it to, that's okay. Try it again. Try out the technique, try out different things. Honestly, this is not what I thought my trees would look like. But I'm okay with that. It was kind of fun to experiment with the glue and with the salt and see. And with this project, I think it would be really interesting to see what it's like if the glue has dried. Like, does it work that same way? So if you make the artwork and put the salt on it and then let it dry before you come back, I wonder if that would work the same. I don't know. Give it a try and let me know. All right, you guys. Well, that's it. So today we did 3 fun projects. We did the bubble tubes in the beginning. We had our spooky tree painting. And then at the end, we did our raised salt artwork. I hope you had a lot of fun. Thanks. Have a nice day.